Yeah, and also this. Would you build the system? You want shot. The Chetty was quite a steady guy, but towards the end he lost another weight.
Nirviknam Gurumedevo Sarvakaryeshu Sarvadam Om Aindu Karattanayani Mugattanai Indayam Pirai Polum Jayatani Nandi Magandanayani Surandini Tumbiye Vaidari Portu Gitrini Om Om Vinayagaya Namam Satti Vinayagaya Namam Satti Vinayagaya Namam Buddhi Vinayagaya Namam Yoga Vinayagaya Namam Valanjuli Vinayagaya Namam Kadalnure Vinayagaya Namam Vinayagaya Namam Vinayag Pramani Yangalai Kandavitakaran Center Balakrishna Chetty Amrodi Atmavanan Gadyam Shanti Amarindu Umrodi Padara Vindarattu Serum Pariyaga Om Dhangayum Samatyami Kamudat Right here. Yes. Om Uragaram Udakuariyavan Nilabulavian Manivanian Naragal Sodaniam Palatiravan Marachilam Marivasti Van Gubomi Trayambagam Yajamati Sukindam Pushtivardhanam Urvamukamiva Vandanar Gatyor Mokshayi Mamitattur Namachivaya Namah in the Marana Pratanikkaga Dhangayum Samatiyami. Bring it. Dear family, friends, relatives, because of the limited time that we have, because of the limited time, once I am doing the puja, once I'm doing the Abhishek for Lord Shiva, I would appreciate if all of you could come through and view the face. We only got about 30 minutes here. No. This prayer here, plus what I'm going to do around the coffin, will take about 15-20 minutes total. And we've got another 10 minutes reserved for the tributes that you're going to play on the outside. Thanks. Just go cooperate with me, please. Do the viewing here. We will just do the tributes and the speeches on the other side. Thanks. Come. Om Shivaya Namah Isai Namah Shankarayi Namah Buddhi Namah Yeganatayi Namah Aneganatayi Namah Buddhitoyayi Namah Ishani Shivagami Nesani Ninayan Ratileva Nadarasani Om Namah Shivaya Vitmahi Magadevaya Dhimahi Dhanna Rudra Prasodya Munyandi Abhishekam Samatpiyami. Om Namah Shivaya Pramani Manika Pachapaya Abhishekam Samatpiyami. Om Namah Shivaya Namaha Munaki Syaravishekam Samepiyami. Om Namah Shivaya Yanamam Syaravishekam Samepiyami. Ganga Yamuna Saiva Godavari Saraswati Narmada Sindhu Kaveri Samepiyami. Om Ganga Yamuna Saiva Godavari Saraswati Narmada Sindhu Kaveri Samepiyami. ஈஸ்வரனை போற்றி நாட்டவர்க்கும் இறைவா போற்றி நமச்சிவாய வித்மஹி மகாதேவாய தீமஹி தன்ன ருத்ர பிரசோதயாத். நமச்சிவாய பிரமாணி முழுக்க பாலாபிஷேகம் சமர்ப்பியாமி. ஓம் கங்கா யமுனா சைவ கோதாவரி சரஸ்வதி நர்மதா சிந்து காவேரி சமர்ப்பியாமி. Om Namah Shivaya Namah. Nepile Tiruniyam Samarpiyami. Om Namah Shivaya Namah. Nepile Kumgamam Samarpiyami.
This is the one that come on. One.
Yeah, this one. Open that pocket one on the balance.
Three, no? Three.
Yeah, bundle.
One more.
Yeah, bundle. Anybody got a silver and a brown coin for me, please?
What's the third?
One brown, one silver. One five nine.
Silver.
Just one silver, one silver.
Thank you. That's a great as I can.
Okay, no, that's fine. Okay, leave it on. Leave it. We'll finish it first and then go down the side. This is a bit slightly different from the normal procedure.
Yeah.
Normally we do almost these at home. Yeah, it's got to be practical.
Yeah.
Okay. One bit of it, right? I'm going to twice. ஓமைந்துக்கரத்தனை யானி முகத்தனை நிலம் பிறை போலும் எதிர்த்தனை நந்தி மகந்தனை யானை குழந்தினை தொம்பியைகள் வைத்தடி போட்டுகின்றேன். Offer that to Lord Shiva. Om Shivaya Namaha, Isaya Namaha, Shankaraya Namaha, Odiye Namaha, Yeganataya Namaha, Aneganataya Namaha, Pullittorudayaya Namaha, Isani Namaha, Shivagami Nesani Namaha, Yinayandratyadevanadarasani Namaha, Mudavagi Namaha, Muttayi Namaha, Karpayi Namaha, Kannadayi Namaha, Kashi Vishwanadayi Namaha, Yegampanada Swamiye Namaha, Tillenadarajayi Namaha, Jambukeswarayi Namaha, Adikumbeswarayi Namaha, Mahadevayi Namaha, Namachivaya Namaha, Mahaswarayi Namaha, Nanavita Parimalavadri Pushpani Samarpiyami. Namachivaya Bhaganathan Talvarga, Imai Porudam Yenanjal Ningadan Talvarga, Gogarianda Gogamanidan Talvarga, Agamamagin and Ronnie Pan Talvarga, Isanari Voti and Deyari Voti, Desanari Voti, Sivan Sevari Voti, Nayadan, Nimanari Voti, Maya, Pirupu, Arakamanari, Voti, Voti, Voti. Om Kadalagi Sindu Kandir Malki Vodumatkamat Punanarikai Podu Vedum Nanginum Mai Porulabadu Nadan Namam Namachivaya Namachivaya Vaganathan Talvarga Imai Porudam Yenanjal Ningadan Talvarga Namachivaya Pramani in the Vodalaki Kadavai Torah Harichandrayi Yanamam in the Vodalaki Kadavai Torah Om Mahashakti Mahakali Devi Tayi in the Vodalaki Kadavai Torah Hari Om Shanti Shanti Shantayi. All of you open. All of you take a stick each.
And do you take a stick?
Come through. Take a stick each, dip it in the deep of the ear.
With the top side up?
Rather dip it like one of your hands. Leave the key down there. Or even on top, leave it on top. I'm going to put hands together.
Come on, you have to go take a stick. You mean 12. That's your picture. Can you keep taking on this to take it?
We're going to go out on the casket now, okay? I just want to put the Namah Shivaya Mother while he's in that. Wait. Just want to play the Namah Shivaya Mother while he's in that. Om Shivaya Namah, Sai Namah, Shankaraya Namah, Puri Namah, Jagannathaya Namah, Niraya Namah, Pullittorudayaya Namah, Isari Namah, Shivagami Nesari Namah, Vinendratyadevanadarasani Namah, Mudalyi Namah, Madhavaya Namah, Maheshwaraya Namah, Krishna, Chetty, Atmavan, Shanti, Majid, You want to see the face one more time that's on there, off on the top different? From here, we'll proceed to the auditorium. We'll look at tributes and speeches over here, right? Here we got the sound system running from here, right?
Yeah.
I will take it to the auditorium there when I get. Let's go. Speak to
Okay. Yeah.
one second, wait. Thank you.
Always remind that we're apart. You wander down the lane and far away, leaving me a song that will not die. yesterday, the music of the years gone by. Sometimes I wonder why I spend the lonely night dreaming of a song, the melody.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sam Shrewsbury, and I'm the daughter of Pat Chetty. I would like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to pay your final respects to my father. Due to the circumstances, our time together is brief, so I will share only 3 tributes with you this afternoon. One from a childhood friend, another from the Chetty family, and one from a nephew representing the Nalia family. Thereafter, I will say a brief vote of thanks before closing. The first tribute is from Sid Suknanan, a childhood friend of my father's. The passing away of my close friend Pat was very sad news for me, especially as he was a close friend for over half a century. Pat and I met and befriended each other in primary school in Mayville in grade 1 in the early 1950s. We remained in the same class for the 8 years until our final year together in Standard 6. We rejoined at Sastry College and thereafter attended university at Salisbury Island. At varsity, Pat pursued a fine arts degree because of his passion for art and music. As teachers, we specialized in different fields, taught in different towns, but continued to remain in contact. I recall with a deep sense of nostalgia how as teenagers in Cater Manor we met with the boys at the corner under a mango tree where we chatted and developed a sense of comradeship. Living not far from here were people like Billy Peters, the communist, Benny Bunsey, the political thinker, the Pardesi Furniture Factory, Woodley's Buses, and Ronnie Govender, the world-renowned playwright. All late now, as indeed many of our boys, and it certainly breaks my heart to think that our wonderful Pat is no more. Like our close friends, Dassie, Teddy, Rex, Dan, Ruby, and many more. And as I pen these words, in a state of sorrow, I also recall some of the naughty things we did, like enjoying the puffs of smoking, stealing mangoes, flicking the girls going by, and our own private conversations. And our weekly visits to the local Mayville Theatre, and as adults, our meetings in Club Lotus, all in the company of Pat. I recall my last meetings with dear Pat at his home and at the Frail Care Centre. The following guys, Anil, Ronnie, Wilfred, Kenneth and Sundress, all with their roots in Mayville Cater Manor, joined my wife, my children, and myself in extending our deepest condolences to his daughter Sam, his sister Rose, and the Chetty and Nalia families. Thanks for all the wonderful and memorable moments we shared. Rest in peace, my dear friend. You earned your rest. The second tribute is from the Chetty family. It is with great pain and sadness that we pay tribute today to the late Pat Chetty, father, grandfather, brother, uncle, and brother-in-law. The young Pat was known as a well-dressed, eloquent man who loved the arts, especially jazz music and literature. He was also a dedicated educator. In his years of good health, he broadened his experience of life by often traveling, both locally and internationally, with his late wife, Janie. He still had a great love for music and literature, and they would often enjoy an old jazz record. He was a man of great spirit, and his sense of humor was second to none. Even though he weathered many storms in his life, he never lost the ability to smile or crack a really witty joke, and for that, we thank him. He loved his late wife and his daughter very much, and he always spoke very proudly of her. In his later years, and especially when his late wife became seriously ill, his own health and well-being began to deteriorate. He longed for the love and companionship of his late wife very much. Today he is with God, his loving late wife Janie, his parents, his siblings, and all his old buddies who have passed on before him. He will be sorely missed, but we know he is at peace. And the final tribute is from Tiven Reddy on behalf of the Nalia family. Uncle Pat. His passing has been yet another in one of my mom's family. First to go was Auntie Janie in 2020, then a few months later Auntie Premi, and now Uncle Pat. This is all such a great loss, and each in their own very special ways have left us with beautiful memories of love. My solidarity and deepest condolences to Sam for the loss of both her parents. Uncle Pat, from my very tiny and remote perspective of one of Auntie Janie's nephews, one of her many, many nephews and nieces, I recall from my youth was always ahead of his time, one who stood out, one who made a deep and lasting impression. From a young age, I felt an implicit bond with him. He was an undoubted influence. I knew he was political when, at a time in the late 60s and 70s, no one I knew growing up voiced a vocal anti-apartheid stance. He loved and he played jazz music, introducing me to the likes of Stanley Turrentine, Dionne Warwick, and Ray Charles, African-American soul and jazz musicians, so unconventional of Indian households in those years. He read literature and spoke about characters in famous plays, and these interests never diminished, and whenever we met, mostly on infrequent trips that he and Auntie Janie made to Cape Town, we had conversations that touched on those interests. I vividly recall the visit when I arranged that he and Benny Bunsey, a childhood friend of his who was exiled for PAC activities for 3 decades, met at our house for dinner. They shared beautiful childhood stories of their years growing up in Cape Town. These stories and Uncle Pat's laughter, always laughing, his eyes almost closing, lighting up his face, rings in my ears even now. Our society, then and now, was not the fertile, encouraging soil for such a beautiful mind. Auntie Janie, my aunt who I recall was in the early 70s, the first of my mom's family to board a plane for Europe, and who upon her return had brought back gifts for each and every one of her nephews and nieces, and there were so many of us, was the great love of his life. Together they brought joyous memories, love, and profound values that we can and we must reflect upon in this moment of loss. We can draw inspiration from them to pass on to our own children and perhaps grandchildren by our very small contributions in this troubled world. Go well, Uncle Pat. Finally, on behalf of my husband Barry, our children Sienna and Isabella, I would like to say thank you to the people who have been consistent in their love and support of my father throughout the years. From Cape Town to the families of Tony, Chetty and Tiven Reddy, for your continued unrelenting support of my father through good times and bad. In Sherwood, Mr. Ibrahim Khan and his family, the Chetty family, Daniel, the support staff at Greenwich Village, you were physically present to assist Dad when he needed you, and I thank you for that. Keshav and Nika from Day Night Pharmacy, who made sure that no matter the hour, my dad would receive his meds. Though you never met my father, Kes, your efforts were greatly appreciated and unparalleled. Thanks to the Chetty and Raman families. And finally, the unsung heroes, the other children to my parents, Kishen and Keshni Nalia. All the midnight runs and the sleepless nights are over. Mum and Dad are together now. Dad is at peace. Finally, from my side, of the many poems that Dad could quote at will, there's one in particular that always stood out, and one line that he loved the most. And it goes like this: full many a flower is born to blush unseen in the desert air. Unquote. This line is from Gray's Elegy, written in a country churchyard. It means that there are many people whose talents will never be appreciated, many heroes who will go unnoticed. I cannot think of a more befitting description of my father himself. Today, jazz has lost one of its most ardent fans. Go in peace, Dad. Know that you are loved, always.